Thanks for coming. So you have a copy of Selling A to Z PowerPoint, and so you can take that with you. And then I also left a little, evaluation card. It helps us just make this experience better next year. So if you don't mind just filling that out, I have a couple extra pens up here and bring it up when you're done with the seminar. So thank you so much for coming to Selling A to Z. My name is Melissa Chelius, and I'm a volunteer with Orange County YPN. We're part of Orange County Realtors, and we collaborate with Chapman University every year to do this free homeownership day for you. So YPN is our Young Professionals Network. So we're actually affiliated with the National Association of Realtors, and they have supported us as young professionals and young realtors and affiliates to come together and provide free homeownership educational events for the community, do community service, kind of things like that. They kind of support us and support those endeavors, and also just encourage us to be the best realtors we can be. So we love that support. So we'll get started here with Selling A to Z. Again, my name is Melissa Chelius, and I'm a local realtor here in Orange County. I've been licensed for 8 years. I'm also a licensed broker. And I graduated from Cal State Fullerton with a degree in finance, and I love real estate, and it was a really easy transition to go from valuing corporations with my degree in finance to valuing houses. So I love what I do. I love spreadsheets, all that fun stuff. So anyways, we'll get started in an overview here. This is just kind of a little quick summary of what you can expect in our seminar today, why people buy homes, what we're recommending to get your home ready to sell, just to think about where you're going to be going in terms of planning your move, managing a sale and purchase simultaneously if that's one of your goals. Also, we're going to talk about some important contract dates and obligations, as well as just touch briefly on requests for repairs, effective new tax laws. As you know, all the tax bills got passed last year, but we're actually going to feel the effects of them this year. So we'll just go over just a few reminders on that, and also discuss pre-qualification versus pre-approval. So if you are selling your home, things you want to consider when evaluating your buyers and the offers that you are receiving. So in today's age, I don't think you're going to be shocked to hear me say everyone's watching HGTV, everyone's watching Flip or Flop and Flip This House, and it's created an environment of more of a pop culture environment, even so, for our buyers to really expect that when they buy a house. So they don't want to buy the fixer-upper in the fixer-upper stage, they want to buy the after photo when they buy a house. So your buyers are really looking for a home that's been upgraded, it's clean, it's tidy, and something that they feel like they can just bring their toothbrush and move right in right after they close escrow. So a couple things, just tips for getting your home ready to sell. Certainly consult a realtor first. I talk to a lot of home sellers who say, oh, this carpet's trash, I should replace the carpet. But yet they've got wallpaper up that's, in this beautiful magenta color or something. And in my opinion, as a realtor, the carpet's not that bad. We can clean it and get the stains out. The wallpaper really should be the priority. So certainly every home is different. Every home's got a different flavor. And you're going to want to talk to your realtor to get the best advice on a priority list of things that you might want to consider doing before you bring your home to market to sell. Certainly decluttering all areas. Having a garage sale or an estate sale is also a great way to kind of get rid of clutter. If you just have like 3 storage sheds with a bunch of junk in it and you just want to get rid of it, but you don't want to haul it to the dump, I actually use Craigslist a lot, and you can post stuff for free. Within 30 minutes, people are showing up at your house and picking up all your crap. And especially old paint, which is, you have to find like a certain place to recycle it and stuff like that. If you have old paint, there's like 10 people on Craigslist that want to come pick it up for you for free. So take advantage of that. Certainly you want to be, cautious and make sure that you're making the precautions to be safe and have a safe house, and that, there's not a bunch of strangers walking on your property, but it's a great way to get rid of stuff pretty quickly and easily. Kitchens are a major factor in getting a home sold. I would say the two biggest priority items in getting a home sold are having a kitchen that's renovated, number one, and then two, your master bedroom, master bath. Because who's buying your house? Mom or dad who's paying the bills, right? So they want their room to be nice and they want the kitchen to be nice. And then everything else is kind of secondary after that. About 65% of buyers still prefer all white in the kitchen. So if you have some oak cabinets that you're thinking about maybe just refacing or repainting or something like that, just keep that in mind. If you're able to paint them and just kind of do a little quick and dirty job in your kitchen to get the best value, I would recommend that. And of course, fix or replace anything that's broken. Another consideration, you know, when you list your home for sale, there's a lot of unknowns. And it can cause a lot of stress as a homeowner and a lot of worry. I do recommend ordering a home inspection and a termite report up front before you list your house. That way you're going to know up front if there's anything broken or not working properly or just not working efficiently. And the home inspection, depending on the size of your home, is going to range between $300 and $500. It's going to be one of the best insurance policies you ever spent your money on. It will alleviate your own stress and your own worry in knowing what the condition of your home is. And you can also provide that home inspection to the buyer up front so that they're being made aware of or disclosed of the condition of the property, and that way there's like not a shocking request for repairs that's $15,000 because the buyer wants you to fix everything. If they're informed of the state of your home up front, then you know they're not going to have such a hard time getting through the request for repairs, and they can provide you a realistic offer up front with that information. And the termite report's typically free. So make sure you're getting it from a licensed termite inspector. They are regulated by the state of California, so you can find someone pretty easily, and they typically provide the wood destroying pests inspection for free. I do come across a few homeowners who say, well, I use Terminix. They come out to my house every month. I don't have any termites. And you will be surprised when you actually have a termite inspector come out to your home that you're going to see have some dry rot or a couple areas, maybe subterranean termites that need to be treated. So good for you for maintaining your home. That's great. There's nothing wrong with using those monthly services, but I definitely still recommend you get a termite report. I also included just a little checklist for you. These are the most, in my opinion, the most common items that come up on a home inspection and that the buyers want to see done, and a few of these are actually required. Once you do sell your home and get an escrow, if the buyer's getting any type of financing, they have to get an appraisal done that the bank orders, and some of these items are code items for the appraisal. The code items are the water heater. Your water heater has to be double strapped, and usually the overflow valves are missing. The overflow valve isn't a code item for the appraisal, but the home inspector will call it out. So if you don't have an overflow valve and you don't have like a valve that drains properly, you're going to want to get that fixed. You do need a smoke detector in every bedroom, and you need a carbon monoxide detector outside of the hallways on each floor of your home. So if you have a 2-story house, you need a carbon monoxide detector on the main floor and the second floor. And the carbon monoxides we recommend to be, installed no higher than 3 feet off the ground. Damper clamps are also pretty common that come up. Your fireplace has a damper, and the damper clamps always come up on the home inspections. Just a little C-clamp, you can get it for like $3 at Home Depot. Shove that in there so that you have a little break, and this is also a protectant for in the event that you have a gas fireplace for carbon monoxide to build up in the home. So the damper clamp is in place so that that gas can escape safely. If you have a direct access garage door between your garage and the home, it does need to self-close. Most of them have a little pin on the inside of the door that you can just engage and it will self-close. If you have a pool, any gates that surround the pool need to be self-closing. This is a code item and a safety issue. If you are a homeowner with a pool, I highly recommend you also put a sign that just says caution or something like that. You don't want to be liable if anyone accidentally gets into your yard and has an accident. So moving on, for relocation planning, we're in a different market than we were last year. So we have officially entered a soft buyer's market here in Orange County. So I thought this would be a good comparison. You can see the drastic difference in expected days on market from last year to this year. So it's taking quite a bit more time for our homes to sell. We have a lot of inventory and not enough demand is really where we're at right now, and that's what's causing the buyer's market to engage, and also the days on market. So, expect about 3-4 months if you're selling under $750, and then a little bit longer than that for these higher price points. So for relocation planning, it's definitely important to think about where you're going and what that timing looks like. In your packet too, at the end, I included a sample form of a seller's purchase of replacement property. So these are standard California Association of Realtors forms. And the seller's purchase of replacement property, or even just a seller's contingency, if you are doing a simultaneous transaction, a buy and a sell, I will beg you, please include this in your listing agreement and provide it to the buyers. There are still sellers and still agents that will not include that form with their sellers when they're listing their house, even though they know the sellers are buying another property. So this protects you as the seller, so that if something happens and you put an offer on another house that you're trying to upsize or downsize or lateral move to, it protects you as a seller if something happens with your buyer with your extended purchase. So, we never know what can happen. An inspection can go wrong, an appraisal can go wrong, the buyer's loan can go wrong, and you fall out of escrow. You just don't want to lose your earnest money deposit if you are purchasing another property. And you want to protect yourself. Keep in mind, for the most part, our standard purchase agreement with California Association of Realtors is really meant to protect the buyer. It gives them a lot of contingencies, a lot of outs to cancel the contract with no effect. And the only time a seller can cancel a contract is if the buyer's not performing or if there's a breach of contract. You as a seller, aside from really those two items, don't have a whole lot of protection to cancel a contract with a buyer. So that seller's purchase replacement property form will be your lifesaver. I also recommend, if you are considering selling your home and moving, to just get your feet wet with your realtor in terms of where you want to move. Start previewing some houses to kind of ease into that sequence a little bit better. And it also creates a good dialogue between your realtor and yourself in terms of selling and buying. Also important, just make sure that your close of escrow dates and your possession dates are in line if you're doing a buy and sell at the same time. So we have another area on our purchase contract where it says possession after closing. So you can have a close date, say on January 25th, but your buyers the seller of the property might be allowed to be in possession for 2, 3, 5, 10 days, depending on what they write in the contract. So you just want to make sure that the close of escrow dates and the possession dates are all on the right schedule for you to make that transition a lot easier. In considering selling your home, any realtor that you meet with should be providing you with a current market analysis report. They're going to be looking at the recent sales in your area, perhaps some pending sales, and provide you with the best market value of your home and their pricing recommendation for you on what you should sell your home at. I do recommend that you base your listing price on your current market value, especially since we're in a soft buyer's market. Now is really not the time as the seller to say, oh, I really want $10,000 more than my market value, or oh, I really want $20,000 more. If you do that, you're going to be extending your days on market, and you're going to be really eliminating the buyers. The buyers have so much information at their fingertips right now. They're pulling comps on Redfin, they're pulling comps on Zillow, and they're going to know what the estimated value of the home is. Of course, if they're working with a realtor, the buyer's agent can kind of guide the buyers into a great purchase price as well. But if your home's overpriced, bottom line is they're going to know. So just keep that in mind when you really consider pricing your home. Another great way to determine exactly what you're going to net out of your property is you can also request your realtor to provide you with a net sheet. And I usually work with an escrow company because they have the most accurate information on title fees and escrow costs in terms of the sales price. But what you can do is provide your realtor with your current loan payoff, and they'll go to an escrow company, or we have software through our multiple listing subscription that we can use to be able to provide you with what you can expect to net from the sale, and then that can really just help you with planning, understanding closing costs, and all that. In general, a rule of thumb from the seller's position is, obviously commission is negotiable in California, so you're going to negotiate your commission with your realtor yourself. Aside from that, your typical escrow and closing costs are going to amount to about 0.5% of your purchase price. So whatever your purchase price is, you can automatically assume that you're paying an additional 0.5% on top of that in closing costs, escrow, and title fees. And then, of course, prepare to provide access to the property. Nowadays, we have these, I should have brought one, I'll bring one next year, to sell. We have these really fancy Bluetooth lock boxes. If you haven't sold a home in a long time, they're great. They protect us as agents, and they protect you as the homeowner. We all have to use our cell phones and our Bluetooth devices to scan into the lockbox, and it records our information, the time that we access the house, our name, our brokerage, our Department of Real Estate license number, and all that. So you know that, who's showing your home and when they're showing it, and just provides a little bit of safety for you as a homeowner as well. So when going back to looking at pricing your home, the home's fair market value, again, just kind of a summary here. In considering pricing your home, you want to take into consideration the market value, the comparable sales that have sold in the area, and typically we don't want to look at anything that's more than 6 months old. So a lot of homeowners are like, oh, that house, 3 doors down, it sold for, $800,000. I want to price my home there. But I mean, if it sold last year at that price, you can't really consider that as a comparable sale. So just make sure you're using your comparables within 6 months, and in similar in bedroom and bathroom count and square footage. Usually I don't range more than 500 square feet on an interior of a home when I'm running my comparable sales analysis. And of course, reviewing active and pending listings. When you're pricing your home, you want to know what's actually sold or pending, but you also want to take into consideration what are the homes in the area selling for, what are they listed at. If this home is the model match to my home and they're priced at X price, you probably, if you have the similar upgrades and style of the home, you might want to be pricing it similar to them if it's a competition. So, and then of course, how quickly do you want to sell, and consider that. Staging, I highly recommend staging your home if you feel like your furniture is not quite up to date, or if you really want to push and get top value for your home. Typical cost of staging is really anywhere, I would say, for a moderately sized house between 2,500 and 3,500 square feet. Your staging cost can be anywhere between $2,500 and $4,500 to get it staged. There are also programs out there that I utilize, which I love, and they digitally stage homes. So if you have a vacant room, you can pay for your for the photos. You upload the photos, and then they digitally stage it with furniture, and it looks like there's actual furniture there. It's a great alternative, but it's also a little disappointing to the buyers when they see these great pictures online, and then they go to your house or your open house and like, nothing's in here. Where did all the furniture go? So, but the staging does help, and I strongly recommend it. If you can put that into your marketing budget as a seller, it's money well spent. Any realtor that you hire, for the most part, is going to be providing professional photography with their commission, their listing fee that they take on your house. So you could expect that. The 3D images and the 3D video tours, we can provide. Myself personally, I usually don't do them unless the house is valued at over $1 million. Most people in the lower price point, they don't really take advantage of that as kind of a marketing tool and searching that. And if you do have a higher end home, or one that you think is going to be more appealing to an international buyer perhaps, the 3D tours are 100% a great investment and something that you would want to recommend. And Spencer does a lot of international marketing. I mean, go ahead and chime in on this.
So with the 3D tours, that's actually Matterport, which is probably the market leader. That's quality.
Yeah.
It is pricier, like Melissa's mentioning. There are cheaper alternatives, which might not be as high of quality, but will give you that walkthrough as well. and a lot of do-it-yourself type products as well. That might be maybe a couple $100 to
Where do you
put
find
one
all those
together.
places? Google them?
One of them is called Ricoh Theta. That's one of the cameras. It's a 3D, basically 3D lenses on the camera. You take a photo, and then they have a software that puts it together that you can use or create on your own. The camera is about $200 to $300, but you can use it for other stuff after as
Would
well.
just be people who come out to do that.
Yeah, if you wanted to hire a service provider to do the 3D imaging, they're typically between like $299 and say $599 to do the 3D tour. So it's not priced too bad. But yeah, they are great. I mean, especially like I said, for international buyers, they're key. So if you are working with a licensed realtor, your listing will automatically syndicate to over 300 websites. So your input's going to be going to Redfin, Zillow, any cooperating brokerage websites like Coldwell Banker, Tarbell, Century 21. So your listing data does feed to a lot of outlets, which is really nice. You do get the most exposure. If you are allowing open houses at your home as well, when you input the open house data, as a realtor, when I input it on my MLS software, the open house data will also auto-populate to all the syndicated websites as well. So that's helpful, and just so you know that you're covered, so long as you're working with a realtor, you'll be fine.
You said auto-populate, so once you're in the MLS, it auto-populates all of those?
Yes, yeah.
If
So
you're a realtor, they make sure it auto-populates?
right. So I would say, the most important question probably if you're interviewing a realtor is, are you a member of the California Regional Multiple Listing Service? We call it CRMLS. That's the software that we use when we input your listing data. So as long as your syndication is on with that software, it will populate to all those websites. Yeah.
I'm selling a house in the Vegas market.
Okay.
I'm listing with Berkshire Hathaway. Presumably they would be part of that? Or?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah. Yeah, definitely. For the most part, I mean, I don't know how any realtor could operate their business without being part of the MLS.
Right.
So, but just make sure that they are, of course. Independent brokers probably would be the only ones that may or may not be working with MLS, or basically, if you're not paying your dues, then you're not part of it. But for the most part, yeah, any of the larger brokerages are definitely there. So I thought it's always helpful to just kind of get a good picture of what a 30-day escrow would look like, what you could expect as the seller, and this is just kind of a brief overview of an example of what it would be in terms of when you actually have a fully executed contract. That means you and your buyer have signed off on all offers, counter offers, multiple counters, all that. Once that's completed, the buyer's signature's on everything and your signature's on everything. That's your day zero on your contract. Once that's completed, then your contract goes to escrow. Escrow will coordinate collecting the buyer's earnest money deposit, and then the buyer's kind of on the buyer to start their investigation in terms of doing another home inspection if they so desire, getting a plumber, an electrician, really anything the buyers want to do. They want to get a geological survey done, they can. But all the inspections that the buyers do are at their cost, not your cost. So your duty as a seller is to disclose everything that you know about the property, and we have forms that kind of guide you through that. Our transfer disclosure statement is a concise form and a little bit of a checklist on anything that you're including in the sale, any appliances that are on the property, things like that. The seller's property questionnaire is another 4-page disclosure that we provide to you to fill out. It's got a lot of yes/no questions like, are there any repairs or alterations made on your property? Do you have pets on your property? Things of that nature, and all that gets disclosed to the buyer. So as a seller, to protect yourself from any future litigation, you want to make sure that the disclosures are really filled out to the best of your ability. So anything that you know about the house, even if it was 5 or 10 years ago, you had a leak and insurance covered it, all of that information needs to be disclosed. So if it ever comes up after the closing and the buyer finds out that you as the seller knew that there was some material defect to the property and it wasn't disclosed, you're still liable even though you closed escrow. So protect yourself, make sure you're disclosing everything to the buyer, and you'll be golden. Request for repairs is typically delivered to the seller by the end of the buyer's investigation period. The default on the contract is 17 days. That is negotiable. A lot of agents now prefer to have the buyer's investigations be tapered down to 10 days, just so they're kind of get it over with quickly. I did include an example of a request for repairs form. It's pretty simple, but you can review that, and that's what you'd expect to receive from the buyers. And just in general, any movement within the sale of your property should be in writing. So all of the requests for repairs, any contingency removals, all of that information needs to be delivered to you in writing, not verbally. So make sure that your agent's doing their job and the buyer's agent's doing their job. Buyer's loan approval, the default contract date on that's 21 days, which is pretty reasonable. You can really for the most part get a full loan approval within 21 days. Anything shorter than that is really hard for a lender to do, especially if they're still trying to collect information from the buyers like tax returns and pay stubs and all that. So I wouldn't really I typically don't push to shorten that contingency date much, just because they really truly need that time to get the loan ready. You can expect full loan contingency removal after the buyer's loan is fully approved. When they remove all their contingencies, the buyer is accepting the property in its condition, and they're not limiting themselves to any other conditions, and they're agreeing to move forward and complete the purchase at that time. So that's kind of like our big yay day, contingency removal. So it's a good day. And then the buyer's loan documents, they'll continue to work on that, and then close of escrow. So again, I included some sample forms for you to review. The items included and excluded is pretty detailed. So you're just going to want to look at like this. Oops. Here we go. Sorry about that. My fat fingers. So the lower area here on this portion is really where you're going to look at included or excluded. So if you have any window coverings, you have a receiver, built-in speakers, things like that. If there's anything in your house really that's even semi-attached, review this list, because there might be some items on there that you do want to take with you when you sell your home, and all you need to do is just disclose that. Tell your agent when they write your contract to add, X, Y, and Z items on items I'm excluding from the sale. So a lot of the time it is usually audio-visual equipment. That's kind of the hot button item that you might want to keep in your house. So just review that and make sure that you're aware of what you need to include and not include.
So anything is not excluded in this, the buyer is assuming it's going to be there.
Right, and the exclusions and inclusions list should be provided to your realtor up front. So when you sign your listing contract, there's also a portion on the listing contract that says I'm including these items in the listing, or I'm excluding these items in the listing. And we as agents also enter that information into the MLS listing, so that's you can see it up front, exactly. So now we're going to talk about effective some new tax laws. The property tax deduction is still capped at $10,000. If you pay less than this, you're not affected. The mortgage interest deduction is also changed. This deduction is limited to $750,000 loans. If you have an existing mortgage, you don't need to worry about this, but this was lowered as well.
I have one question. I know there used to be a tax on sale of something like 3.8% related to Obamacare or something like that. Is that still in effect, do you know?
I'm not aware of anything like that, but it sounds probably similar to maybe the capital gains tax that you might be talking about, which I'm going to talk about in just a sec.
Okay.
Interest on home equity loans, this deduction is no longer available. So if you are a current homeowner and you have a home equity loan, you're not grandfathered in. It just doesn't exist anymore. It was removed. So tax break stays for home sellers. This is your capital gains information. So that information didn't change. You're still, if you're married, you're still able to exclude $500,000 of a gain off your sale. If you're single, only $250,000 off a gain. And then keep in mind, depending on what tax bracket you are, the actual capital gains that you pay on any gain will be different for everybody, depending on what your tax bracket is. But you still have that, which is a really nice exclusion. Prop 13 and Prop 6090 still remain in place. So Prop 13, if you're aware, was passed a long time ago, and that's a cap on increasing the property taxes year over year. We still have that in effect. We still do get legislation that's proposed that's trying to get rid of Prop 13. So please be aware of that. we don't want it to go away in California. And there's some legislators that are still trying to push for that. Prop 6090 is amazing if you are a homeowner over 55. So you can purchase a property of equal or lesser value and talk to your tax provider, and you can transfer your tax basis. So for a lot of people, yes. One time, yes, exactly.
But I think it's only 7 out of the 60 counties in California, so it's very few of them that actually accept that transfer.
It is very few. We are getting more. So OCGov has the best information on that for the comparable counties, but Orange County, LA, Riverside, San Bernardino, Ventura County, San Mateo County, and Santa Clara County are all collaborative for this. So, yeah. So, but OCGov will have the best information for you. But yes, it's a great
That's just
point.
for Orange County, that's not, right? OCGov, what's that? And it
Orange-
also lists like Northern California?
Yeah,
Yeah, because there's very few in Northern California that you can exchange,
right. Yeah.
unfortunately. But it's
Right.
good if you want to live in Riverside County.
Yeah, well, I sold a house for some homeowners that live in Campbell, which is right outside of Los Gatos, and that their counties were compatible. They relocated down here to Orange County, so that was nice. So Los Gatos is great if you want to relocate to Northern California. I highly recommend it. It is
Yeah, but like
expensive,
Sonoma and Napa, they don't reciprocate, so,
though. Oh, right,
so a lot of, around San Francisco, they don't,
right.
wish they would.
Or Santa
Well,
Barbara.
if you're looking to
Santa
buy
Barbara.
in Napa, you might be able to get a deal because of, unfortunately, it's like some of the houses that were damaged by the fires. I mean,
If you can get a builder.
yeah.
Only 4,000 houses that burned down in Santa Rosa, only 68 have people who are able to move into them at this point in time.
That's more than a year.
Yeah, so I know that area really well. It's not that easy. I mean, if you want to do like property banking, yeah, that would be a good idea, but
Yeah,
getting anything done is really difficult,
right, yeah, of course.
unfortunately, because there's just so much.
Sure.
The transfer, that's okay, or available going to, let's say, the Palm Springs area?
I'd have to check,
Riverside County?
I'd have to check with their, with that, but, like I said, if you go to, like, the Orange County website, I think it's ocgov.com or .org,
Yeah.
they'll have the compatible counties there. But yes, I think the most important thing is, it has to be equal or lesser value.
Right.
It literally can't be $1 more for
Right.
you to be able to transfer your tax basis. You have to be 55 and over, and then of course you can only use this once. Alright, so pre-qualification versus pre-approval. So pre-qualification means that a lender's probably evaluated the credit worthiness of your buyer, and they're giving an approximation that they can do the loan. Kind of like a guesstimate that, based on the information that was given, they'll pump out a pre-qualification, and then your buyer has this letter. So they could have given their credit scores over the phone, they could have given their pay stubs over the phone, it may not have actually been documented. So you want to make sure that the buyer's actually pre-approved, so they have fully documented tax transcripts, pay stubs returned, bank statements returned, and all that, so that you know that your buyer's well qualified to buy. There's also another program that lenders use called Desktop Underwriter, and so it's kind of a little added protection for you as a home seller. When you get multiple offers on your home to pick the best buyer, you can request that the buyers have DU approval, and that's approval from the Desktop Underwriter, meaning it's been floated through their software system and accepted by the software system in terms of their qualifications. So that's it for selling A to Z. I'm really glad that everyone here was so engaged in asking questions. I love it. If there's any other topics that you had a specific question about in selling your home that I might answer at this time, or a process maybe that you're not familiar with that you wanted a little more clarification on.
And you may have covered this, I came a few minutes late. So, house I'm selling in the Las Vegas area, it's a rental house I've had for a number of years.
Sure.
I've notified the tenants that they have to be, the lease is up and I have to give them 60 days notice. I've given that, I've contacted a realtor. I'm just concerned with how much fix-up work I should do. I'm assuming after a number of years, I've had 3 renters over like 15 years. I'm sure some work needs to be done, but I don't know if it's worth going crazy with it, you know what I mean?
Sure. Well, I mean, if you haven't walked through the property recently, I might recommend that the realtor that you hired, like, say, hey, can you send me some pictures of the current condition of the home after the tenants move out?
Yeah.
If you're planning on selling it, you know, certainly if you've been renting it for a long time, maybe a fresh coat of paint would probably be
Yeah,
a great
that I
investment.
definitely do. I just didn't know like how much, you know, upgrading of the kitchen I should do. Now, I get other management, you know, property management company, they do an inspection over here, they send me some pictures, it's
Oh,
in
sure.
reasonably good shape. I just don't know, you know, it's like a 2,700 square foot house, it's a pretty big house.
Yeah.
I just don't know, and it's like a nice neighborhood, I don't know how much I should be like upgrading it, if it's worth it or not.
Have you gone in to look to see the condition? Maybe it looks
I
good.
haven't, yeah, I haven't
Yeah,
done
that
it about a year.
might help you decide.
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
have a question about that too. If you're trying to decide how much upgrades to do in your house, could it be worthwhile just to put in the contract that you agree to credit back to the buyer expenses that you would agree upon towards the
Yeah,
upgrades?
yeah, I mean, that's like up to X dollars or
Yeah.
something, I credit for renewal.
You know, it sounds good, but it typically doesn't motivate the buyers enough to even write an offer if they don't like the house when they walk in.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Spencer?
So I'm gonna chime in for both of you guys. Understand the immediate neighborhood around it. You don't wanna over upgrade. Is
Yeah.
basically whatever the average is.
Yes.
If you are gonna put in the money,
Right.
that should be the tip top that you wanna
Yeah.
do is
Right.
basically bring it to the average condition of the area.
Right.
The other thing I think of in upgrades is, if I'm going to upgrade according to my taste, is that really going to be appealing to a buyer?
Exactly.
Yeah.
As opposed to saying to the buyer, well, if you want to upgrade it, I'll credit you back for some.
The only thing
for you
is
to get
then
your
you also
taste.
have to have a savvy buyer
Yes.
or an agent that's representing the buyer.
Yes.
Because if they don't think that way and they don't wanna make their offer that way,
Right.
maybe you just need to put your price at the, you know, if it's gonna cost you $5,000 to do the upgrades that you're thinking,
Just lower
maybe
your
you just
price.
reduce your price
Yeah.
and maybe tell your agent to explain that as people
Yes.
come in for
Right.
open house or to
Yeah.
look.
Because they
Because,
basically.
trust me, there's all kinds of agents out there, some think and some are just perfunctory,
Yeah.
so.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I mean, I
Yeah.
think when you're interviewing agents, you know, a really important question is, you know, how long have you been selling real estate? And how many houses do you sell on average a month? And if you get someone that's producing enough, and especially in the local area, like Spencer said, they're gonna know kind of the theme of the community and make the best recommendations to you on how to upgrade the home and what that looks like. But yeah, if you can slap a coat of paint your cabinets white, put some new door pulls on it. It's pretty cheap
That'd
to
be
even
easy,
just,
yeah.
it's, I mean, you'd be surprised how inexpensive it is even just unload a slab of quartz in your kitchen.
Well, that's kind of one of the things I'm thinking about. The house is like 20 years old. It was a nice house, but 20 years old. It's got tile counters. Do we put the quartz counters in or not? That type
Yeah.
of thing. That's what we're trying to figure out.
Yeah, I would recommend it. Quartz is really
Yeah.
cheap and it'll make it look so much better.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Excuse me, I'm Tina Bo. I'm also a real estate investor and I buy homes and I rent them out and, but when the tenant moves out, if the condition is bad, I remodel it, I get a lot more money for it.
Yeah.
So, you know, if you put in $5,000, if you get $10,000 more, it's worth it.
That's
Yeah.
that's kind of where I'm going. Like maybe we spend 5,000 or 10,000.
Sure.
If it sells quicker, that's
Yes.
money too.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, and especially if you're putting it in your kitchen, you'll get it all back
Yeah.
when you sell
And
the house.
that's
You
kind
really
of where our
will.
focus is too. Yeah.
Yeah,
for
but I
sure.
think, I mean, $10,000 for that size house is a really healthy budget where you could really accomplish a lot and make the house just look smashing. Yeah.
And Riverside is included, so that's Palm Springs, is that what you said?
Yeah.
You know.
Oh, is it?
Exactly.
Okay.
Oh, it is.
It's in the 60, 90,
Yes,
great. Thank
yeah.
you.
there's 10 different counties.
Yeah.
Spencer?
Okay, so something off topic, I am gonna be teaching a class during the third segment, so 12 to 12:45 on international real estate. And we are including a section on what buyers are looking for when they come from outside of US into the US to purchase, as well as US buyers purchasing outside of US, so vacation or investment properties. So all of you are welcome to attend that.
Yes, yes. I'll be
Are you
sitting in
talking
that
about
room.
the trends of international investment here?
Yep, that's well, yep.
And on the last page here, I also included just a few contacts I don't get any kickbacks from anyone I recommend, okay, so I'll let you know that up front. But the service providers are just people I trust and I use regularly. They have great prices, my clients are happy with their services and so forth. So if you are interested in getting anything done or getting a quote or an estimate or things like that, then you have a few resources here to be able to access. So yeah, thank you so much everyone for coming in.
Thank you.
Again, I definitely appreciate you filling out the short questionnaire on the class and how I can improve it next year.
Oh my gosh.